Hey, let's begin the at-home Sunday meeting. So glad that you're here. We're doing a new kind of church in a new kind of way, especially for Circle of Hope. People have been on the internet, seems like forever, but in the pandemic, we really learned how much we could connect, and we're so glad to connect with you from all over the world, but also from our home turf in the Delaware River watershed. That's where I am here in Pennsauken, New Jersey. My name is Ben White. I use he, him pronouns. We want to know that you're here too. We're trying to do this in a connective, dialogical kind of way, even on YouTube. So get in the YouTube live chat and tell us who you are and where you're coming from. That's a way to participate and even to make your presence more powerful, even just for yourself. Now, I want you to impact me, but I think it impacts you to say, yes, I'm here and this is where I am. We're making the at-home Sunday meeting from all our different homes. I'm in the home of our congregation that meets in Pennsauken at 3800 Marlton Pike, and got some cool art that we made together as a congregation behind me. Just giving you a little taste of where I am and kind of what I'm bringing, because we are inventing new ways to be together and new ways to worship together here at this at-home Sunday meeting, and you can be a part of that. And you already are, even if you're just gonna watch this and not really reach out to connect this time. We'd really love you to, but you can just take it in too. One kind of low impact way to be connected is to go to circleofhope.church/online meeting and sign in, just so that we could get in touch with you if you want to be gotten in touch with. We'll send you an email or whatever you'd like. So that's another way. Right now, it's not just me on this meeting. We've also got some hosts in the YouTube live chat that I want to introduce you to.
My name is Robert, and I'll be one of your hosts for the at-home Sunday meeting.
Hi everyone, my name is Charles Langley Jr. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm one of your hosts for the at-home Sunday meeting, and I'm so glad you guys could join us today.
Okay, it's time to begin. In fact, it's time to begin again. That's the theme of our season and how we're going to frame our worship and the talk that Rachel's going to give in a little bit too. But first, it's worship. We're moving into a time where it takes some discipline, especially here on YouTube, to connect our heart and mind and soul in a posture of worship, reaching out to God. All three of the songs we're going to sing today were written by Circle of Hope community members, and I love that. They've stretched out their artistic ability towards God, and I think that the realness and the freshness and the connectiveness of that might help you get real, get fresh, and get connected. Might help you begin again in worship. Because everything's beginning anyways. That's what we're saying with this season. We're into a whole new season of life, sort of post-pandemic, and easing into what it looks like to begin something new and not just go back to the way things were, because that's impossible. So let's begin again. Let's do this thing that I think Christians have been called to do from Jesus's call to us, to be a new creation, Paul says, in Christ. We've created something new together for this at-home Sunday meeting, and you can participate in that newness right now if you choose to. So I'm inviting you to choose to get into this. Take a posture that's going to help you. Turn off the other devices. If the kids are in the room, tune them in too. So something special is going to happen right there on the YouTube screen, at home where you are and at home where I am. We're connected, and God's going to connect us too.
To meet you right here, to meet you rain on us your grace, be our dwelling place. We come to meet you right now, to meet you. Be here today, come close and make your presence stay. Holy majesty, need you right now to meet you. Be here today, come close and make your presence stay. Be here today, come close and make your presence stay. Be here today, come close and make your presence stay. Be here today, come close and make your presence stay.
The soil, the wind, the rivers, and the trees, the sun, the moon, the stars, and heavenly skies, the creatures of the land, the air, and the sea, and all who have received the breath of life. Now we praise you, Lord. We are your creation. Rivers and their tributary streams, and veins throughout my body flowing true. The branches of the mighty cedar trees join together all to worship you. Now we praise you, Lord. We are your creation. From the deepest waters to the deepest part of my heart, you know me as you made me, alive and breathing in your spirit. You show your works, and I'm in awe. Now we praise you, Lord. We are your creation. Hallelujah.
In Genesis 1:16 through 19, we read, God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. God set them in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. There have been many evenings and mornings since then. Look at this morning and this evening as we follow the light over the course of a day in the city where our church is rooted. The light moves from the houses in the foreground to the towers of Center City until everything is illuminated and the city shines. Soon, though, shadows fall, following the same path until everything is dark. Did the light fail, or has it simply run its course? God did not declare day good and night bad. God set the sun and the moon in the sky to separate light from darkness, day from night, so that we could know which was which. Evenings flow into mornings, and each day it all begins again. Beginnings can feel hard, but perhaps newness brings with it the strength needed for its work. New life means new energy, new vitality, new opportunity to learn, and new capacity to grow into. If we did not begin again each day, our vitality would wither, our strength would fail. So newness, the chance to begin and then begin again, and even begin again, is a gift. Beginning again each day is what gives us the strength for each day's journey. Beginning again each season of the year and in each season of life gives us strength for our journey through those seasons too. And let us remember that beginning again need not mean starting over. Sometimes it may, no doubt, but someone on a long journey does not return to their starting place after each night's rest. And yet, with each new morning, they do begin again, carrying with them the lessons learned and miles traveled the day before, with renewed energy for the journey ahead. In the beginning, God separated light from darkness and day from night and declared it good. At the end, God declares that she is making all things new. Let us be made anew for the season that lies before us as we begin again.
Your loveliness dwells here, and it's rest for my soul. And in the pain that I offer, I know you're making me whole. So I look for your help, Lord. Please fill me, I pray. Let the storms all wash over in my life today. Breathe your life in my body. Break the chains of my past. Let me drink from your well, Lord. Drink the water that lasts. Steer me clear of the fear now that buries my mind.
Hey, I'm Rachel, one of the Circle of Hope pastors, and we are beginning again. I'm also just feeling the truth of that song that we were just singing. Your loveliness dwells here, and it's rest for my soul. And in the pain that I offer, I know you're making me whole. My friend Angie wrote that song, and I feel the truth of it here with you, even in this meeting. Your loveliness dwells here. Our loveliness in Christ dwells here together, even online, all around the world. You know, Circle of Hope is just a small part of Jesus's body all around the world. And in the pain that we offer, he is making us whole. And I want to kind of get into that mystery here with you tonight. I think it happens through the next line. So we look to your help, Lord. Please fill us, we pray, and let the storms all wash over in our lives today. I want to tell you about a story about God providing for us, for his disciples, through a storm. I think this really connects because God's provision comes often through our need. It doesn't necessarily come through our health and wealth and brilliance and whatever we can provide for ourselves. It comes through our need and through our limitation. And the first communion meal was even kind of foretold and revealed through this need and limitation. So I want to tell you the story from John 6 here tonight. And I have my little communion table that my friend Marguerite gave me as a visual of God's provision in our need. And so I want to kind of invite you to the table here tonight. The story begins when Jesus is up on a mountainside with his disciples, and he's watching thousands of people come toward them, people hoping for more healing and miracles that Jesus was doing. And as they approach, his disciples are wondering how in the world they're going to feed all these people. They don't have all this food. One of the disciples, Philip, was even saying it would take half a year's wages to buy enough bread for everybody to just have one bite to eat. And they didn't have half a year's wages. They had hardly any money, and thousands of people were coming. If there were women and children among them, it might have been 15 to 20,000 people, which is like almost like a Super Bowl stadium full of people. How were they going to feed all of these hungry people? Well, you might have heard the story. There's one little kid in the crowd who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, and he's willing to share them. And it's almost comical to picture the disciples looking at these 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but Jesus takes them in his hands and he blesses them, and he tells the disciples to give them out, to distribute them. And as they do, the food begins to multiply as it's passed through the crowd, until everyone doesn't just have one bite, but until everyone is satisfied. John says that everyone had as much as they wanted. They were probably like, nap-takingly full. Like they were satisfied by a full meal that was just miraculously invented out of very few ingredients. And that's what God does. This story is the only story in the Gospels that is repeated in all 4 Gospels. And I think that is really, really significant. I think that's saying there's something significant about God, the truth about God here in this story that we need to look at. I had a curious reminder of God's provision recently. You might think it sounds kind of silly and circumstantial, but it was meaningful for me, so I'm going to offer it to you anyway. I trash picked a big mirror with a cool antique frame when I was walking home recently. And it was really heavy, but I managed to get it in the door. And my husband Jeff was not very happy when he saw me lugging this thing in because we had no place to put it. He said that, and he was right. We live in a little South Philly row home, and it's already comfortably furnished, and we had no place to put this big, cool antique mirror, but it was just so lovely that I couldn't pass it up. Well, I went to my office, and he called me on the phone an hour later saying, "You'll never believe what just happened, Rachel." He said, "I heard a big crash, and I ran downstairs, and the mirror that we've had for 5 years hanging by our front door in our little foyer just up and fell off of its bolt on the wall on its own and crashed to the ground, and now we have a place for your new antique mirror." Now, when I told this story in our park meeting, my friend Chris accused me of engineering this situation so that we could put up the new thing, but I had nothing to do with this. It was purely circumstantial, but I heard this little message from the Spirit that day that I'm hanging on to. And it was that in all that seems to be grievously breaking down in these times, all that seems to be falling apart in these difficult times, that Jesus is going ahead of us to provide something new. The newness might even come out of the seemingly insignificant trash that everybody walks by and sees as a problem in Philly. The newness might come out of our need, our hunger, and our limitations, like just having 5 little loaves and 2 fish from a little kid. But Jesus is going ahead of us for that miracle, knowing the losses that we face and caring about them. You know, the story of Jesus feeding people with very limited ingredients, like I said, is recorded in all 4 Gospels. And I think that's saying that this is a main thing that God does. God makes something out of nothing. Making love out of nothing at all, like that song by Air Supply. God satisfied people when there was nothing but limitations and loss on the table. Jesus goes on to explain what's really happening, more about what's really happening in that meal later in John's account. The people keep looking for Jesus after this miraculous meal because they want more free food. They want more healing, more antique mirrors. And he knowingly says to them, "You love me because I filled your belly. But I'm trying to show you that I'm the one that you can trust for your whole future. I'm looking out for you," Jesus is saying, "and trying to call you into a whole life of abundant and eternal provision through the Spirit." He says, "The bread of God is the bread that comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. All those the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never drive away." That's a promise. It's the will of the Father that I don't lose any of those he has given me, but that I raise them up at the last day. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. This bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Of course, the people don't understand in that moment that Jesus is going to give up his life on a cross to conquer death forever. They don't know all that. And that in believing Jesus for salvation and receiving life by his Spirit, symbolized in this little meal, that we follow Jesus into never-ending life. In the midst of all of our circumstances, even the terrible ones. The Spirit gives life, Jesus says. The flesh counts for nothing. And what he means by the flesh is not necessarily our physical bodies. He's talking about whatever opposes God. He's talking about evil, and he's saying that the goodness and power of life in the Spirit is greater than any evil we face in or beyond us. Let me repeat that. The goodness of and power of life in his Spirit is greater than any evil we face in or beyond us. That is the abundance and the good news of this communion meal. I want to leave you with probably the most relatable part of this story. At least I think so. Right after this miracle of provision, right after Jesus satisfies all these people with good food out of the tiniest little bit of it, the disciples get in their boat and they get into this really scary storm, and they completely forget about the miraculous provision that they have just experienced. They are terrified in this storm, and they think that Jesus is a ghost, and they can't believe that Jesus is going to save them. They're not even thinking about that. They're just terrified. Mark's account says, Then Jesus got into the boat with them, and the wind stopped, and they were utterly astonished, for they had not gained any insight from the incident of the loaves, because their hearts were hardened. Their hearts were hardened by fear. And I would just love to blame and distance myself from the disciples for that and say, oh, you dumb disciples, how didn't you know that Jesus was going to help you after he just fed a football stadium full of people with 5 loaves and 2 fish? How could you think that he would leave you stranded? Didn't you know that he would come to you at all costs, even if he had to walk on water and get accused of being a ghost? Didn't you know that as soon as he got into the boat with you, that you would be immediately transported safely to shore? Because that's what happened. But no, they didn't know all that. They forgot in their fear, and we forget too. Like, I was probably worried about the future an hour after that mirror incident, when God told me that I didn't have to worry about the future, that he would provide. Fear is a well-worn pathway in our minds and bodies, because bad things have happened and continue to happen. And so we need to keep coming to Jesus's table to form new pathways in our minds towards abundance and provision. And we can help each other on that journey. We can be like Jesus for one another. Resma Menachem, in his book, My Grandmother's Hands, writes about the difference between clean pain and dirty pain. Clean pain is the pain of asking for help and vulnerably moving into new spaces when we don't know what to do. It's also the pain of doing the right thing when we do know what to do, even when it's difficult and scary. That kind of pain expands our nervous systems and makes more room for the Spirit in us and in the world. Dirty pain, on the other hand, is what he describes as the pain of avoidance and blame and denial. It hardens and shuts us down, and it shrinks our hearts. I think it's very tempting. That dirty pain is very tempting in these times. but it's actually more painful than clean pain in the long run. The Spirit invites us to that clean pain. The Spirit invites us to embrace our limitations and need for God vulnerably. The Spirit invites us to reach out for help, even just as a prayer or a chat with another person, even right now in this meeting time. This place of need, of not having enough to feed the thousands, is the place where Jesus makes a little table for each of us, even right in the presence of our enemies and every difficulty we face. Jesus promises to lose none of us in this struggle, no matter how bad it is. Did you catch that? His promise is to raise us all up. He said, "Whoever feeds on me will live." So don't discount the miracle of his provision through the Spirit in you right now. Don't discount it. This time of great need and limitation is a holy time. It is a time to begin again, and who knows how God might provide. God bless you.
Thank you, Rachel. Lot to work with there. We're going to keep working with it in the afterhang on Zoom. The hosts are going to be putting that link in the chat. Please participate, because this meeting ain't over until we talk back. Got to have some talk back, because the dialogue gets extended and the Holy Spirit gets in between us. It's going to be good. So I'm going to give you a little bit of ways to connect here, give you a blessing, and then we'll be on Zoom. So please sign in at circleofhope.church/online meeting. That's the best way to connect and to make your presence known here. You can indicate that you're interested in various different parts of our community, which you can explore at circleofhope.church. Number one way to connect is our cells. They're the basic building block of our community. It's like an organic thing, cells that multiply, like the cells in the human body. We're the body of Christ, so we have cells. They're places where people can be face-to-face, working out their faith in real life, and supporting one another, encouraging one another, and learning about what it means to follow Jesus. Also, you can participate in this online thing by liking and subscribing on YouTube, or putting a comment on this video, or watching all of our other video and sharing it around with your friends. It's a whole kind of video universe that we have. We keep putting stuff out there that displays our unique community and our expression of Jesus, because we think that there are people out there on the internet, wherever they are, like wherever you are, that are looking and longing for this kind of community. And we can express it together no matter where you are. And YouTube is one of our number one tools. So put that in your social media feeds and share it around directly. That's the kind of the number one way that people respond, is when they get a direct message. Let them know that this is something that's important to you, and that it might be important to them too. Also, you can participate in our common fund. Look for the give button at circleofhope.church. We have something in common. That's enough reason to do something right there, to have something in common. There's a big power in that, not only in making an impact on the world through all the good stuff that we do together and through the ways that we present Jesus to the world, but also it has an impact on us, because our money gets put in its place, and our sense of purpose gets amplified, because we're participating in something bigger than just our own pocketbook. So circleofhope.church, the give button, participate in the common fund. And again, we're getting on an afterhang here where we're going to have some dialogue about this meeting, and you can participate in that by clicking on the link in the YouTube live chat, but it's also always in the description of the video. So now a blessing for you to receive from that wonderful poem at the beginning of the beginning in the book of Genesis. God saw everything, and it was good. We could just say that again and again and again, and it was good. You are good. The things you see are good. Your family is good. Your life is full of goodness. Can you receive that good the way that God does? Can you now receive the the opportunity of today or tomorrow? I hope you can, and God wants to help you do it. Ask for help if you need it, and receive this blessing as a help. Goodness is here.